Washington mornings on the Mall. 105.9 FM. And AM 630. WMAL.
737 on WMAL, where Washington comes to talk. Standing by on the line, our good friend Stuart Varney from your Fox Business Network. And Stuart, yesterday the president takes to the bully pulpit and he says, hey, you know, this is not about redistribution of wealth. What do you think about all that?
Yeah. Can you hear the laughter in my voice?
I noted it.
Look, sarcasm is a low form of wit, so I will not engage in it. But the president is flat out a class war crusader. And his basic stock in trade is indeed the redistribution of wealth. He said that before the election, and he's practiced it through the tax code after the election. That's what the man has tried to do. He doesn't want to admit it, but I'm sorry, I think that's exactly what he's doing. And yesterday, when he said that, alluded to Mitt Romney and said, I was not born with a silver spoon in my mouth, that is a straightforward class warfare statement, is it? That's bash the rich. The point is, of course, that Mitt Romney was not born with a silver spoon in his mouth. And Ann Romney, who supposedly has never done a day's work in her life, actually started out life with a very young child in a basement apartment. So let's dismiss this.
Well, you can't have it both ways either. You can't say that Mitt Romney was born with a silver spoon in his mouth and then say he's rich because of Bain Capital. Well, he's rich because of Bain Capital more than he is because of a silver spoon in his mouth.
Yeah, it's just classic electoral politics.
Yeah, that's what's going on.
And I really hope that in America it does not work.
But it does work, or they wouldn't be out there trotting out this tired old, thread.
Brian, it might work with the base, and I'm convinced that it does work with the base. But the independents, the middle-of-the-road people, that vast group of Americans in the middle, I don't think it works very well with them because it hasn't worked to turn around this economy. You can bash the rich all you like. It still hasn't given us general prosperity, and that's what the middle ground is concerned with.
I just pray you're right.
Did you see the breakdown? I think it was a tax policy put out the other day about, who pays taxes and who doesn't pay taxes and how much of, each income bracket pays. And it shows that, hey, if you're making over $250,000, you're paying a huge chunk of it. It's like a 47.
I got the numbers.
I think it's 47% or something like that. So, this fairness thing is, all right, let's define what fair is.
Yeah, what is fair? What's a fair tax to you? I think some pollster in the past has asked that question repeatedly. If you make X number of dollars, what is a fair take for the government? And I think most people, as I recall from this poll, most people said, okay, you take a third off rich people, 30%. That's fair. Well, the fact is that as of today, regardless of the Buffett rule, as of right now, you make $1 million a year on the books income, not capital gain, on the books income, and you live in New York, you live in California, you live in Illinois, you're having half taken off you. Not a third, a half, when you count in federal taxes and state income taxes. Now, I don't think that's fair. I think that's the point to me where you're starting to confiscate as opposed to just merely tax.
Well, in fact, here's that statistic we were talking about. If you make $250,000 a year or more, you are paying about 45.7% of the taxes. People who make that kind of money pay a little less than half of all the taxes paid in this country.
Yeah. Okay.
And 41% of the people who file income taxes pay no income taxes.
Now, is that fair, Brian?
I don't think that's fair.
No, neither do I. Maybe it's an unpleasant truth here, but if you want a rational tax policy in this country, you've got to broaden the base of taxation, which means that some of that 45% who currently pay nothing will have to pay something. Now, that's a very hard political pill to swallow, I think.
And some of those people, by the way, don't pay the federal income tax, who are working. I don't blame them for not paying taxes. That's just how the tax code works out for them after all the deductions and things like that.
Yeah.
So, that's the way it is. Now, if you want to change it, we can have change it. But I'm not going to get on with that. The problem is the amount of spending that goes on by the federal government. That's the key to it all.
Right. This is a spending problem. It's not a taxing problem. But may I just bring to your attention the earned income tax credit? The checks have gone out this year.
Right.
26 million people got a check. This is a refund for taxes that they never paid in the first place. Over $60 billion has gone out from the Treasury. This is the negative income tax. Do we get a thank you for that? Do we? No, we do not.
In fact, we get told we need to do more.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
85 million people in this country pay taxes, and there are 310 million people who receive some form of government benefit in one way or the other. So 85 million people out of 310 million are carrying the freight.
Past the tipping point, haven't we?
We certainly have. And
What
it's,
about those
and it's
people?
hard to change that dynamic.
Exactly.
Once you're not paying any taxes, you sure as heck don't want to start paying them.
President Obama knows this, is playing on this, is trolling for votes from that whole bunch of people who pay absolutely nothing and don't want to pay anything.
All right. You still kind of bearish on the economy overall?
Yes, I am. When you say bearish, I don't think we're going to go into a recession. I think we're just going to bump along with maybe 1.5%, 2% growth, which just is not good enough. That's what Europe looked like throughout the 1990s. Low growth, high unemployment, accumulation of massive debt. That's not a pretty picture for America, in my opinion.
You're a man of the world.
Well, what do you mean by that?
Well, I mean, you follow these things. You've been around in different places. Is there any country that does it right when it comes to taxes? I mean, is there a model out there? Is there somebody say, you know what? They gotta look at the way this country is doing things these days.
Australia.
Australia, really?
Yeah, I like the look of Australia a lot, bearing in mind that that is a natural resource economy.
Okay.
It mines a ton of natural resources and sells them to China. The economy is strong. But Australia does not have a deficit. It's not in deficit. It's got a strong currency. It's got a low unemployment rate, relatively higher taxes than the United States, but socialized medicine comes with those higher taxes and a sound pension system. So when you look at the whole fiscal package, the monetary package, Australia seems to be doing it right, but only because China gives them so much money for their natural resources.
All right, Stuart. Good to talk to you as always. Thanks very much. We'll be watching Varney & Company, 9:20 this morning.
Thank you, gentlemen. Thank you.